I've been thinking for some time now that I need to make this video, and I was just thinking about it again, and well, I haven't sat down to think it through and really decide on how I want to present this idea. I realize I just need to get it out there. If there was one insight that has ever occurred to me that I really believe is important to share to other people, that I believe is impactful to them, and that is important for me to live in my own life because it is that impactful, it would be this: the solution to any problem can only be found within the domain of the problem. That means if your problem is that an action is needed, then only action will solve your problem. If your problem is that you don't understand something sufficiently, then only your understanding will solve your problem. If your problem is that you don't respect yourself sufficiently so as to impose your needs upon the world around you, such that the world reorganizes itself in accord with your needs, so that you are sufficiently comfortable in your own life, then only that imposition will solve your problem. If it's that you don't respect others enough to comport yourself in accord with their values, such that you've sufficiently respected them and given them the opportunity to live harmoniously in a world with you, then only such respect and comportment, or comporting of oneself, will solve your problem. You can't switch out problems. You might be able to solve the immediate pressure placed upon you by your problem by doing that. If you have a technical problem and you solve it for the short term through an emotional plea, you might be able to resolve the pressure that has been imposed upon you by that technical problem. But understand, the problem has not gone away, and the problem will again emerge. But when it does emerge, it will do so obfuscated, distorted, and in a way that will make it more and more difficult for you to understand what the problem actually is. If you do this over and over again in your life, if, when action is needed, instead you resort to understanding and you try to learn about a thing you should be doing, or you try to do a thing you should be learning about, you might resolve your immediate problem, but you will create a successive concatenation of problems that will extend out into the future, each compounding the obfuscation, each making the initial problem harder and harder to resolve, until you find yourself in a farrago that leaves you disoriented and immobile. So when you have a problem, you have to have the courage to acknowledge what that problem is and where it exists for you. Because if you have an emotional problem and you need somebody to change something that they're doing so that you can feel respected and manage yourself appropriately, then you need to tell that person about the nature of your emotional problem. You can't say, well, you can't do that because the taxi service doesn't run on that night, or I won't be able to get airline tickets that fast, or whatever other technical or practical reason you might be able to justify your unwillingness to participate with. You can't do that. In the end, it will cause you more trouble than the initial problem. and you won't be able to find your way back out without an incredible amount of effort. And you can make your relationships with others so complicated and so difficult to repair that you might not ever repair them. You have to have the courage to admit where your challenges lie. So, with that, before you try to solve a problem, think about what is the nature of my solution? What is the nature of my problem? And are the two coherent? Is there fidelity between those two and the domain in which they're housed? If there is, then you've likely found an actual solution. And if there isn't, you've likely found a distraction. Don't fool yourself. You'll pay the price, and likely others will too. And it's not worth it. So, we've all done that. Try not to. I hope that helps.